Meeting's going to come to order. Pledge allegiance.
Flags in the back corner right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey Randy, can you close that back door? Draft.
Roll call. Roll call. Gary? Here. Carol Payne here. Dennis?
Dennis Szymanski here.
Kevin Garrity. Kevin Garrity here. Okay, so we're going to have a nice and calm, relaxed meeting, and we're not going to have any outbursts because you will be asked to be removed from the premises because this is the Lions Hall. And I just want a nice, calm meeting. Let's move right on to public comments. The public comments will be on the agenda items. Public comments.
Hello. Frank Rocco, 2630 South Channel. And I just have a question about what the rules are for appointing board of directors to the committee. Appointing and removing members to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more?
Thank you. For what?
Public comments.
Wendy Lyons, South Channel. You guys don't answer questions, right? I just asked and you don't answer. Okay. I just wondered if you could put on your website the date that you received the grant and what date you started the feasibility study and what date you started the traffic study and what date they're going to be finished. They're not finished, right? And when the results will be in for those. And is there a MEDC investigation on the money that you received? And why you didn't receive the $750,000 grant money? Why you didn't get that? Or can the grant writer explain why you didn't get that? That's it.
Did you get that, Sue?
Yep.
Anybody else?
Roger Favreau, 1900 South Channel. It's pretty difficult to come up with comments prior to the meeting when you don't really know what's going to be discussed. That's my opinion. And I don't mean to be rude, but you are very condescending as a chairperson. Thank you.
Anybody else? Public comments are closed. Approval of the meeting minutes from February 16th.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Well, you see.
I haven't seen it.
I got one for the other guy right there. I move to make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Roll call. Gary?
Yep.
Harold, yes? Dennis?
Yes.
Kevin?
Yes,
Well, he actually can't,
He
he
can't
wasn't
vote.
here.
I wasn't there, yeah. I didn't vote on it, I decided.
Right.
Right.
So,
It's all good.
Okay. Gary?
Okay, we report on the treasurer's report, recognizing we haven't had a meeting since February. So this is could be a little exhausting for some. Starting out with our cash on hand, as of December 1st, this month, we have almost $22,000 in our HITA bank account. So during this time, from February, really from January 1st to now, to December 1st, we've written 25 checks. In that period of time, we spent, total checks written was $65,704. Broken down by quarter, since I want to bring everyone up to date of where we're at with our finances, we spent $43,450 in the first quarter. The second quarter, we spent $5,867. Third quarter, we spent $9,851. And in this quarter so far, we wrote $5,570. The checks that were written from January through November were, they do not include any checks that we'll be approving at today's meeting. When you look at the checks, as far as what categories we spent it on, we spent $12,400 of it on the final payment for our feasibility study phase 1. We have a $900 county contract that we paid back in January. We have a property option that actually was part of the grant that we needed to have a piece of property option on. We also had a number of requests from legal on through the Freedom of Information Act. That was $18,000. We have director's insurance for a cost of $2,445. And then we have our audit, which cost us $5,750. And then typical administrative fees of $3,182. These checks that were we approved, we have pre-approved these checks. We know we were going to have these back in February. So as of today, let me clarify, as of December 1st, our cash is $21,885. And you have in your packet here basically a cash flow statement from January through November, identifying what checks were written for what reasons. And also what I've attached is actually the accounting files that we get from our accountant. This was identified in the audit that the cash flow statements that I have developed aren't really as sophisticated as they need to be. So I've included in there 10 months of financial statements from our accountant identifying, our cash flow. What you'll recognize is if you go on page 2 of the, well, you can't do that because I don't have November's. But if you go back in each one of these individual months and go on page 2 of each monthly report from the account, you'll find that account balance crosswalks accurately to the account balance that I have in the Excel spreadsheet. So there's no discrepancy in our cash, reporting on our cash. So the second thing I want to do is we're required by grant folks from the state of Michigan, Michigan Economic Development Corporation grant, is every quarter to have some type of report that actually talks about what expenses that we pay for, and they actually have categories that are predetermined at the state level. And these are the first 3 quarters of this year. It would be basically ending March, ending in June, and ending in October. So these reports are filed with the state. They look at our expenses and they actually, are they qualified expenses under the grant. Our next report is going to be due January 15th, and that'll be our final quarter. Our grant will close at the end of this month. Anything we don't spend in this grant, we have to write a check back to the state. I expect that what we'll find is when we go through the counting of the checks, that we will be basically a zero fund balance left in the grant. We'll have spent the grant monies that were allocated to us. So those are the three reports here. The third thing is the audit. Now the audit is something that we did back in, I want to say February, March. No, March. But because we didn't have a meeting, we couldn't approve it, so we're going to actually go back and look for approval as we go through this. But there are three findings. Interesting is two of the findings were the same findings that they found in the audit that was done for 2022. And I'm going to just take some time to go through the three different findings. We had a company called Gaybridge & Company do this. It was an 18-month audit ending December 31st, 2023. And there were three material findings. The first one was a material audit adjustment and financial statement preparation. This was the repeat finding. Gaybridge recommended that management continue to monitor the relative costs and benefits securing other external resources necessary to develop material adjustments and prepare a draft of the authority's annual financial statement versus contracting it with its auditor for these services. One of the things that came up in the audit, and again, I'm not an accountant, they wanted to have an accrual basis for our report, and I don't have that, so we had to use the auditors to do that. And so their recommendation is you need to be a little more sophisticated in your financial management. And that was one of the reasons why you'll see on the reports that I pointed out, you have that the report on a monthly basis by the accounting. We use Emil Enterprises for our accounting. Right. And so that's why you'll see that. Our response was, HITA has hired an outside accounting firm in 2023 as a response to a UHY audit finding in 2022. Gaybridge, as a company, will provide the treasurer of accounting, myself, of HITA, what they're looking for so we can be in compliance. They've given me that information, and I've sent that on to our accounting company, and they are doing the reports as you already have done. The second one was also a repeat finding. It was segregation of incompatible duties. Gaybridge's recommendations, while there are of course no easy answers to the challenges of balancing the costs and benefits of internal controls and segregation of incompatible duties, we would nevertheless encourage management to actually seek ways to further strengthen its internal control structure by requiring as much independent review, reconciliation, and approval of accounting functions by qualified members of management as possible. Our response was, as a result of a limited staffing, we're all volunteers, we don't have staff, we cannot accomplish the desired segregation of duties. Management, however, will provide an increased oversight and review of the operations to help correct errors and to deter inappropriate actions and potential fraud. And that's, again, why you're seeing the second part of the cash flow statement, that you have the accounting from the accounting company. So we believe, and they were fine with that. And the last one was lack of monitoring. Gaybridge directs the authority to develop a budgetary control procedure that will ensure the expenditures do not exceed amounts authorized in the General Appropriations Act or amendments thereof. Our response was, depending how often HITA meets on a yearly basis, HITA will do semi-annual budget amendments using reliable financial statements, and more is needed to ensure that expenditures are not in excess of the approved final budget. And what that was is when we developed our budget back, for 2023, we said, okay, it's going to be X amount of money. Because we had a revenue side that was from the state, it was grant, it was basically, we had the funding, we exceeded our budget expenses for that period because one of our feasibility studies was more expensive than what we had budgeted. So they're saying you need to have a regular process that would adjust your budget if your expenses go up. It has not changed our cash flow statement because we had the revenue already in the bank account. So it wasn't that we were spending more money than we had.
So we
It
should
was just how we were counting it.
So we should do a budget amendment.
I'm sorry?
We should do a budget amendment.
Yes. So I would like to make a motion that we approve the 2023 audit with management responses. And then from that, we would then turn that over to Clay Township for filing.
I'll second. Roll call vote. Gary?
Approve?
Harold? Approve. Dennis?
Yes.
The next item is December expenses. Again, in compliance, trying to be in compliance with the audit as far as better financial management. We have December expenses that I've written checks for, but we're not going to send them out until we get approval from this group. And so for this month, I'd like approval for a number of checks. We have two Freedom of Information Act invoices, one for $2,500, the other one for $10,830. And then we have one that we believe will be coming in December for $3,300. I went out and bought for myself printing paper and printing cartridge. Killed probably 5 trees in the process of getting ready for this meeting. So that's $122. And then videotaping, for this meeting was $100. So December expenses are $16,852. I want to pay for, in 2025, we're supposed to pay for our post office box, and that's a year cost of $154. Our yearly cost for accounting has been discounted from $900 down to $810, and then our director's insurance to cover this board here is $2,445. No increase from last year. So that payment would be $3,409 for a total expenses that we need approval for is $20,261.70. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve these budget items so I can get them posted before the end of this year.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call. Gary?
Approved.
Harold? Approve. Dennis?
Approve. Well, Kevin can approve this, can he?
Yeah, Kevin, yeah, you can approve it.
Yeah, approved.
Sorry, I didn't.
The next item is our 2025 HITA expense budget. One of the things the auditors said to me, they said, well, you approved your budget for 2024 kind of late. You really should do 2024 and 2023. So our intent here is to have a proposed budget for HITA. And what I have here is a budgeted expense of $73,500. And for that would be $5,000 for legal, $3,500 for grant writer. We have property option of $26,000, administrative for $5,000, and contingency for $2,500. These expenses would not be spent though until we have the revenue matched, and we're working on the revenue side now. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2025 expense budget with the provision we would not engage in any expense approvals or reimbursement until we're able to secure funding for 2025.
I'll second. Gary?
Approved?
Harold? Approve. Dennis?
Just so we're reiterate that we would not engage in any expense approvals or reimbursements until we do secure funding.
Right, yeah.
That was the second part.
This is really not so much of a budget.
This is just the
It's
start.
really, it's the governor of expense management, basically, because we still have to put a revenue piece to this.
Yeah, this is just the preliminary. This is to get moving so they don't get us again on, we waited too long.
Okay, I'll approve it, or yes.
Kevin?
So, the two biggest expenses, grant writing and the property option.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is the property option a necessity? I mean, is that something that you feel needs to continue to go forward?
Based on, when we got the grant, one of the conditions of the grant was they needed a property to be able to set the feasibility around when they do engineering stuff. So the property had to be secured. We don't own it. It's just an option. And if the feasibility says, okay, yeah, it makes sense, then, you know, we have the decision to make, are we going to purchase the property? So we need to have that as part of the feasibility study.
Yeah. So being as this is my first meeting, I'd rather abstain from voting yea or nay, so.
Okay, all right.
And until I can, you know, come up to speed a little bit more.
I'll bring you up to speed on what's going
Okay.
on. So it passes.
It passes then?
Yes.
Okay. And the last one is a cash disbursement, and this was identified in our February meeting that we would develop a policy to get our arms wrapped around, we're just not approving invoices without having some controls. Recognizing to try to get a board together to approve an expense is costly. You've got the Lions Hall rental, you've got, you know, people's time, you've got, you know, we videotape this, there's an expense with that. So what I have here in front of you is basically 3 policies that would give us some language to ensure that we have some guardrails on how we approve expenses. Recognizing sometimes there are expenses that you know, we're going to have to make, you know, without having a lot of oversight. But having these policies gives us that oversight as far as the control that the auditors are looking for. So I have basically this divided into 3 different sections. Services provided via contract, and that's a no-brainer. We have contracts, you know, we're going to honor the contract, and we go ahead and do that. The invoices are typically forwarded to me, and maybe through, you know, one of the board members or from Harold. Well, we pay those upon receipt. And those are really, typically, we do not pay for those unless, if they're contractual, we agree on the contract. You know, none of us individually can agree to a contract. We have to do that as a group. And then we have the next level of services provided without a contract under $1,000. We don't get a lot of them, but they're the ones that, okay, we have Lions Hall, or we have videotaping, or we have, you know, I just went out and bought some stamps, or, you know, those things. You don't want to have a meeting for those. You know, so under $1,000, you know, there's typically what I have done is would give Harold a call and say, okay, we need it, you know, I need to get this, are you okay with that? So there is a process. It's not, you know, the treasurer just making a willy-nilly decision. And that was one of the questions that was item 2 of the audit, is having better controls in that. So this really, this policy and the next one are basically, you know, policies. And this next one is the same policy. One is with contract, one without contract. So none of us can approve a contract or an invoice under over $1,000. And that's really what that is. We had approved that the last February meeting, but it was never put in the meeting minutes. It was never identified. So
I don't know why that did.
Yeah, and that's why the auditor basically said, well, you don't have any controls. And I said, well, yeah, we have conversation on it, but he was right. We didn't have it identified. So what this is this will go into, I'm not sure where it goes into, but it becomes a working document that we follow.
Did we have the videotape of that meeting?
Probably. I don't know.
Do we remember what month that was? Because maybe we can look
Well,
it up.
and again,
It's a moot point now.
Oh, I know.
We're just going to go do this.
Okay.
You know, I get your point, yeah. I mean, but you want to go back a year?
No, I mean, but just so that you could see that.
I mean, if I would have thought of that during the audit, that may have helped us, but, I mean, it really wasn't a significant finding. They basically said, you need to have more controls, because there's always a potential fraud, and so having those controls gives you, again, guardrails that keeps us from, you know, okay, what's the treasurer doing? So I'd like to make a motion that we would approve the cash disbursement policy.
I'd second that.
Okay.
I,
Again, okay.
Approve.
Gary, you approve?
Yep.
Harold approved. Dennis? You approve?
Approved.
Kevin?
Approved.
and that is my report.
Thank you, Gary. Seems like we've been to this route before.
I think you did a really good job in all
Gary,
this
yeah, you
stuff.
put all this stuff together. I mean, we were on the phone for a long time this morning. It was like, holy cow.
Yeah, there are a number of sad trees out there right now that are missing branches.
Yeah. So this is going to take care of the one part of the audit that they said we didn't shine on.
Well, yeah, it should take care of probably three of them.
Three of them.
Three of them.
Okay, we're good with that then. Okay, organizational meetings. Organizational annual meeting, what do you think? We're looking at March 9th at 10:30 after the HISCA meeting?
Here at the Lions Hall.
Yeah, here at the Lions Hall. What do we think?
I think it's good piggybacking.
Yeah, well, we're
Because
gonna,
most
yeah.
people are already here. And then they're true, we're not doing a big hall interference either.
You
So-
gonna be around, Gary?
I will not be here the night, but don't let that stop you. I mean,
Okay, yeah, no problem, we won't. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, if I'm still part of the board, I'll be here.
Hopefully, you'll be
Um,
here.
Just
All
looking
right.
at the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, then, what the...
Is that a Sunday?
No, it's a
No, it's a Saturday, right after
Yeah, it's
the
always
meetings.
the Harsens Island Association meetings are always the Saturday mornings.
Yeah, it's right after that.
Yeah.
Saturday is the 8th.
yeah, Saturday's the 8th.
Is it?
Oh,
Yeah.
It should be-
Oh, it's a typo there.
Yeah.
Jesus, Gary. I make a motion that we had amend the agenda so it shows March 8th on there.
I'll second.
Approved.
Harold, approved.
Approved.
Okay. All right. Okay. Board comments. Gary?
Nope.
Me? Nope. Dennis?
Yeah, I'd like to, since we have fresh eyes and ears as well here, I think that we should entertain another reach out to Champion Ferry for maybe a sit down here and kind of go over some things here. Any ideas, suggestions, and whatnot.
I think that's a great idea. I think there's been a lot of contention. I think having some come together moments might not be a bad idea, but it doesn't hurt. I don't see why it could hurt.
Well, I talked to Skip, who's on the committee, and we talked for about an hour yesterday on that situation. All right, yeah, I think it might be a good idea to try to sit down. I really do. It's everybody's got the wrong opinion here, and I think that we really do need to sit down. I've tried to sit down before. We'll try it again.
Well, a lot of dust is settled, and
Yeah,
we don't want to
it
shake
has,
anything
it
more
has,
up.
it
So
has,
that's,
but,
and
yeah, I think, let's make a motion.
Well, I
want it on the record.
I made the motion.
I'll second the motion.
I support.
I support, and I'll, Kevin, you support, I know you said you did. And Dennis, I want to hear from you. Okay, let's, Sue, would you put that in the minutes, make sure it's in there? So we'll have to set up a time, figure out when, and we'll go with that.
Well, I still have more board comments, though.
Hmm?
I still have more board comments.
Dude, it's on you.
Just a reminder, we have for the Lions with breakfast with Santa Saturday morning, 9 o'clock, come hungry.
Is that pancakes?
Pancakes, sausage, eggs, normal stuff. You bring your own cocktails if you like them. Santa, Miss Santa will be here. You can take pictures with them, no charge, of course. Other than that, Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year. And he said we'll be diligent in reaching out to Champion and Jay Price, and so if we can get some sort of a meeting and
and I'm sure we'll be all in attendance in that. That's all I have.
So the only comment I want to make, I'm new to this board. I was elected back in March by the prior Clay Township board. However, the new board on December 2nd passed a motion to remove me from the HITA board. I'm not sure it was following proper protocol. The HITA Articles of Incorporation state that there needs to be cause, and we haven't had a meeting. So I'm going to, and Harold was very welcoming when I came in today, so we're going to assume that I'm still part of this board and plow forward. So we really appreciate the community support and the efforts that I think we are all going to be in our best interest moving forward. So appreciate the opportunity.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All right, we're done. We're adjourned.